Why are there some people that can change like with the snap of their fingers? Like they just wake up one day and decide to quit smoking for the rest of their life. And then it's easy as that. They just never smoke again. They never touch a cigarette again. How are they doing it? And why can you do it? Let me explain. So first, people that stop with the first time, like they never tried stopping before. And in the case of wanting to stop something, the first time is the easiest. Let me explain. So people that stop something for the first time have a free try. So what does that mean? If you stop something for the first time, like the craving isn't extremely big, your brain always had to give you a little bit of craving in order to get the stuff that you want. For example, a vape. You vape once or twice a day for a few months. You give in every time. Like you get the slightest urge to vape, you give in. Your brain knows then, okay, I only have to give a little bit of urge so that I get the vape. And then when you want to stop, because your brain always had to give you just a little bit of urge, you stop, throw the vape away, throw the vape away, and you get this little bit of urge that you want to vape, but now it gets a little bit bigger. But because it's not extremely big, you just are like, I would like to vape now. But you're like, but I don't really like, I know I wanted to stop, so I'm gonna stop. It's just gonna be slightly bigger than your usual urge to vape. But if you try quitting vaping for the 6th or 7th time, then the rules change and the circle of suffering starts. Because what you want to do now is like, you want to stop. You have the wanting to stop vaping. And then you stop. You then get a craving. Like the craving for the first day is like this usual little craving. On the second day, it grows like by 10%. And you give in. That is where everything fails. When you give in the first time with just a little bit more craving, your brain then adapts. It knows, okay, I have to give him a little bit more of craving in order to get the vape. You fail and start vaping again. So what your brain does now is, let's say the second time you want to stop. You stop, the craving grows again. You know, you get the craving, it's at 10%. You resist this 10%, your brain adapts, grows a little bit of craving, makes like 20% more craving, you give in again. And then you start vaping again. You see where I'm going? Let's go with the third time. You stop vaping for the third time. You stop vaping for 4 days. The craving grows, the craving grows on day 1, 10%, day 2, 20%, day 3, 30% increased craving. Your brain now knows, okay, if I stop the vaping, I just have to make the craving really big, so I get the vape back and stop. So I get the vape back. You see where I'm going? This is an endless cycle, and unless you resist the craving, ultimately, like, I'm gonna get in how to change this. This is not as easy as it seems, because if you stop, the craving grows and you fail. You want to stop, you stop, the craving grows, you fail. This can charge up to 500%. Like, that is the reason why it's so hard to quit something that you wanted to quit for years. Because every time you try to quit, every time you try to quit, it gets harder. That's why you have one free trial. You get it? The first time you try quitting, it's easy because the craving is at only, let's say, 100%. You try quitting for the third time, it's at 130%. You try quitting for the 5th time, it's at 150%. The craving grows every time you try to quit because your brain adapts. It knows that it just has to make the craving a little bit more in order to get the nicotine, in the example of the vape. So now it brings the question, how exactly do we get out of the cycle of misery and finally change, stop whatever you want to stop? Let me explain. The first thing that you have to do is to accept your problem. If you don't try to explain to a blind person what a color looks like, yeah, that's exactly what you're doing when you don't accept that you have an addiction or a problem. For example, let's take the vaping again. If you don't see that you are addicted to the vape, if you have thrown it away for 5 or 6 times and still started again, then you first have to accept that you have a problem. Then you get to the next step. You want to change but can't. That's exactly where I'm gonna help you. So the first thing is you have to get back to control. Your brain is now so in tune with what it has to do in order to get the thing that it desires, that first thing you have to do is get back to control with really small steps. For example, let's take the vape again. So what you can do now is when you're really addicted to vaping, is don't resist the urge, control it or try to control it. For example, what you can do is regulate the times. So for example, what you could do is set a timer that you can vape depending on how addicted you are. For example, you need it every 10 minutes or you start shaking. Set a timer to maybe half an hour. Then you vape once or twice, you satisfy the urge, but you get control back because you waited these 30 minutes. Then you set the timer again, wait 30 minutes, then you vape again. And every time you resist the urge while these 30 minutes aren't over, you regain a bit of control. Your brain then goes from 600% of wanting the craving a little bit down. It still wants it, but it knows that if it just waits a little bit, then it gets the thing. It gets what it desires. And that is what you have to do now, is you have to control the urge. Don't resist it. Put a timer, for example, and vape every hour. And then you do it a little bit. You separate the times on the next day between the vapes, one from 30 minutes to 35 minutes. You have to look how intense your addiction is. If you do it every 10 seconds, then set a timer to 10 minutes. Or what you can do in a different thing, for example, if you want to stop, then you can regulate it either to doing it in a preset hour of the day. For example, you only do it at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Only then you are allowed to. Your brain then knows again a little bit of, okay, I don't get it now, but I know I get it later. So it lowers the craving because it knows, okay, it doesn't matter what I do now, I will get it later. The craving isn't then so intense because your brain knows it. You get it? So that's what you could do. Or for example, you could reduce it to once a day or twice a day, depending on how addicted you are. But that's basically what you have to do. Control it, don't resist it. Set a timer to separate the times where you don't want to do the thing that you want to change. And that's what you can do with everything. For example, stopping stopping with an alcohol addiction or stopping with a gaming addiction. If you're addicted to gaming, for example, you set a timer with your friends and you say, okay, I will not game all the time every day. I will only play video games for a certain hour of the day. And then you're already regaining a little bit of that control. And then in a few weeks, when you shorten the window of where you can play with your friends or play video games, you are so much in control that you can decide between playing video games or, for example, doing some work. But that's for the future. Is it? I don't know. Yeah, so but that's basically it. That's how you change. That's how you get rid of addictions. That's what an addiction psychiatrist will tell you. Should have become one. Oh, that hurt. Okay, see you in the next video. Goodbye.